Question period. I recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, they sure ain't what they used to be. This tired and out-of-touch government isn't focused on the things that matter most. Not focused on helping people with the cost of living, not focused on our kids' classrooms, and certainly not focused on the crisis in our healthcare system. Now, instead of investing to provide the support the people need, they're wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on their own wasteful pet projects. Mr. Speaker, remember the AIMS project. That's the IT fiasco that this government had to put on hold 1 year ago today. And last we heard, $138 million for a system that still doesn't work. What's the total cost so far, and when will AIMS finally be up and running?
Recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to the AIMS project, our primary concern is that the 48,000 employees across the healthcare system continue to be scheduled and paid on time and correctly, Mr. Speaker. Work is ongoing to rectify the issues that were encountered during the initial rollout, Mr. Speaker. There's been extensive user engagement that has taken place, Mr. Speaker. User feedback guides have been working towards ensuring that the project meets the needs of the users. And again, Mr. Speaker, this is a significant IT project for the health system to ensure that our very valuable healthcare employees are paid correctly and paid on time, Mr. Speaker, for the valuable work that they do across Saskatchewan.
Recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we're very assured that our hardworking healthcare workers are actually getting paid. But, Mr. Speaker, it's been a year, $138 million and counting, and still nothing to show for it. These are dollars that could have been directed to fixing the staffing crisis in rural communities, could have been put into mental health and addictions, and could have been put to use ensuring that the 1,100 folks who needed a local ambulance actually got one. But instead, Mr. Speaker, this government is pouring public dollars into costly projects that simply don't work. With all the problems in our healthcare system today, how can this tired and out-of-touch government justify $138 million and counting for a system that still doesn't work?
Recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Administrative Information Management System, AIMS, will replace roughly 80 systems, Mr. Speaker. 80 separate systems, some of which are, Mr. Speaker, more than 50 years old, Mr. Speaker, and currently used by the SHA, by eHealth, by the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency, 3S Health, affiliates, Mr. Speaker, and health foundations. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know what the members opposite what would they prefer to do, Mr. Speaker? What they have is continue to use a spread of 80 different networks and healthcare systems across the province, some that are half a century old, Mr. Speaker. You have to invest into technology to make sure that we're improving the data access and the healthcare that's delivered by our healthcare workers and our healthcare teams across this province, Mr. Speaker. Again, this is a very important project. We're going to ensure that we get it right so that the people that this serves are paid and that they are remunerated for the work that they do, Mr. Speaker.
Recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
The minister is asking for suggestions. Here's one. Don't pour $138 million into a program that doesn't work to this day. Mr. Speaker, there are so many places that $138 million could be better spent. But instead of focusing on providing health care to people who need it, this tired and out-of-touch government has wasted that money on an IT program that, again, a year later, still doesn't work. So what is the total cost of this mismanaged project, and when will we actually see it up and running?
Recognize the Minister of Health.
Again, Mr. Speaker, as I said previously, this is a significant IT project for the government of Saskatchewan, for our healthcare system. Again, paying 48,000 people that work in our healthcare sector across our province, trying to replace 80 separate systems to better coordinate them, Mr. Speaker, so that they are working and they're able to, essentially talk to each other. Mr. Speaker, as I said previously, some that are more than 50 years old, Mr. Speaker, and we want to ensure that when the system is launched, that it works properly, works accordingly, that it does what it's supposed to do, Mr. Speaker, and I still have yet to hear from the members opposite and Leader of the Opposition what it is that they would do differently.
Recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, clearly $138 million and counting on an IT system that doesn't work is unacceptable. But you know, Mr. Speaker, this isn't the only place that this government is showing questionable spending judgment. On October 18th of this year, the Premier authorized more than $750,000 for a pavilion at the COP28 conference. And, Mr. Speaker, that is just the price of admission. That doesn't count hotels, staff, travel costs, and all the other costs that go along with sending the Premier and his entourage to COP28. Mr. Speaker, how does the Premier justify spending so much public money on this expensive trip to Dubai?
Recognize Minister of Trade and Export Development.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you what this government and this Premier are going to do, and that is stand up for the interests of the province of Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker. And I can also tell you who will not be standing up for the interests of Saskatchewan: Justin Trudeau, Stephen Guilbeault, and Jagmeet Singh, all of whom, when they travel, do nothing but attack our industries, do nothing but apologize for what we do in this province. If we are not out there, Mr. Speaker, telling our story, with our companies, standing up for our industries, nobody else is going to. And all we have heard from the NDP on this, Mr. Speaker, is that they will shut down all of our international offices. They have committed to never leaving the province to support our industries and our companies internationally, Mr. Speaker, except for their member for Nutana, Mr. Speaker. Let me read this quote for their member for Nutana. It's also disappointing that our Premier did not see the importance of representing Saskatchewan at this international forum. What was that about? It was about COP.